Hi folks, Tim here again. We're talking about the water-on-water home reverse osmosis system again. And what we're doing today is we're going to check the TDS from our new cartridges that we just replaced a few minutes ago. Now, this, for you guys that are out there performing a multiple of installations, what I highly recommend that you do is you set these systems up back at your shop, do some bench testing, do some leak testing, so on, and it's always highly recommended to do that, okay? So when you get the system hydraulically sound, like we talked about earlier in the dry startup, using the gauges, you might want to leave the gauges on. You can do that if, you know, at the time that you're performing this particular end of our testing. And then what you can do is you need to prep for the TDS check. Now I'm going to show you a few features about the system here. Okay, first off, the system is operational right now. It is running. We have water going down the drain here, so we are processing water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to depressurize a certain area of the system so that you can open it up and apply another line. All right, so let's do this by, once again, we have our dedicated faucet here. And you can simulate this by either having a ball valve at the end of this for your bench test. You don't have to have a series of faucets like this. You can just have a ball valve attached to this line. And this line here goes back to one of the FA ports, either FA1 or FA2. Either one, it doesn't matter. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to open up the faucet and we're going to let about a glass of water pour out here. Oh, we still have a little bit of air out from the previous cartridges. And we're going to turn that faucet off. Now, if we have access to the waistline and we just saw an added shot of water coming out of that waistline under a massive amount of pressure, and then we saw it and witnessed that line pressure go down to a normal waste flow, we now know that two sides of the bladder on the inside of the tank have depressurized. You had your product water bladder and the outside of the bladder, which is the squeeze. So the product water is the PW port here on the manifold. That's the inside of the bladder, the product water. And then you have the SQ port, which is called the squeeze, which is the outside of the bladder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this trusty little tool here, I'm going to put it in here between the collet and push it in, because this line has depressurized from a normal function that we just performed. And I'm going to apply that and pull the pin. So this is the direct relationship to the outside of the bladder. We have some spillage here. So I'm going to take a piece of tubing with the ball valve attached, as you can see, and we're going to keep that ball valve closed for now. We're doing a bench test here in our own shop, so we're not going to worry about all the water, but today I'm going to worry about the water and soak it up here. All right, so we got that. Take that. All right, next is we're going to open up our faucet. And we're going to completely drain the system and take all the water out of the bladder. This is the product water, and we're going to be using this line to check the TDS levels here in a second. So what's happening right now is all the water is going in on the outside of the bladder, but on the inside of the tank, and we're squeezing that bladder, forcing all the product water that was produced by the machine out of the bladder, okay? Now this water here is coming from the bladder, going through the manifold, through our post filter here, which is the final polish, and that water is going through the post filter to my FA line and being driven to the tip of the faucet. In a second here, you're going to witness that pressure go all the way down to nothing like we have just now. So that volume of water right now is the water that is being produced by the membrane. Once it gets to that point, I want you to open up this valve here attached to the SQ, and I want you to, we got a nice flow coming out of it, and back that flow off to about the same amount of water that's coming out of the faucet. And that's representing to me a 50% recovery. Okay, that's 1 part down the drain to 1 part going through the RO membrane. So under these conditions, letting it run like this for, especially with a brand new filter and a brand new post filter, you may have to run this for as long as 2 hours in order to get the quality water that the customer would want. And this is to flush out the preservative that is in the membrane. It's also to flush out any added TDS by the post filter, and that way, once you check your TDS on this and it's at the level that you expected it to be, then you would turn off the faucet, close the SQ port, and let the system completely recover on its own. In 1 second here, we're going to see the waistline open up automatically. And in just a few more seconds, the waistline will automatically open up at the faucet here. And there it goes. The system is now operational. And this is after you're completely satisfied that the product water coming from the tip of your faucet is at the TDS level that you would expect. Okay, now that's how to check the TDS. One more time here, I'm just going to, I have a little sample cup here. Whoops. We have a little air that got into the system from our cartridge changes. That will automatically work itself out. And we've got a nice low-level TDS. And there we go. And that is the TDS check. I'm going to turn the valve off now. And that's a wrap. Thank you.